Hi everyone, welcome to our second episode of Tea Time with Redprop, where we review the latest new launch. So today we'll be actually talking about one of the most anticipated launch in 2025, Zyon Grand.
I think particularly because this particular project by CDL and Mitsui, right, this joint venture by them, is gonna be the biggest project among the five.
Quite a few of my clients actually set out of River Green and Promenade Peak to wait for Zyon Grand. So I do think that this is quite anticipated.
We're here to see whether this project with 706 units, is it worth buying? Okay, so maybe the first thing that we want to go into is the location.
A lot of Singaporeans love River Valley. It's like just the perfect blend of, for lack of better words, we can say cheap and expensive. You got your Zyon Riverside Centre, all the nice and yummy food there at affordable pricing, and then right around the corner we have cafes and New Baru, Robertson Quay, and not to mention Great World City itself, right, revamped now. And the Brown Line coming up, it makes commuting around the area much more convenient than it used to be before.
But either way, I do feel that Great World, after the revamp, it does feel like a very premium mall because everything that's the layout and everything is done quite well also.
Not to mention, this project, right, is gonna be the only one in this area that's actually directly linked to Havelock MRT, which I think is gonna be, a unique proposition. And of course, all the GLS here is gonna be within 1 km to River Valley Primary School. One thing that to point out is the fact that, right, this particular project, right, we actually have the biggest land size in the area versus the other projects like in River Green or Promenade Peak. The land size is almost double. And what this actually means to me, own stay buyers will prefer this. Why? Because the landscaping is going to be more grand, there's going to be more facilities, and a strong likelihood is that each block, right, is going to have lesser units. So something I didn't like about Promenade Peak and River Green was the fact that there's like more than 10 units per floor because it's a single tower. Yeah. Not sure what you all feel about that, but to me, I think that's something that own stay owners might keep an eye out on.
So with that, you can get more landscaping. You have 3 blocks instead of 1 single block. Generally, you also get more facilities. Facade-wise, because of the architect, I think it's quite unique.
It's gonna be the landmark in the area. When you drive along Havelock Road, you're gonna see right smack there.
This is definitely one of the standout. I think it's a bit more grand and more recognizable.
But I think one thing that a lot of people are worried about is the oversupply of the number of units in this area. So with almost 2,800 units in this area that's going to launch, do you all feel that there's an oversupply here?
I wouldn't say it's an oversupply, but with so many competition around us, right? Definitely it's important for us to ensure that we are taking out the right units with the right facing, the right layouts to ensure that you remain competitive. I think one more thing to point out is that, right, Zyon Grand right now will probably be the last plot that will enjoy that unblocked view towards the south. Because if you look at the position of upcoming River Modern and the next land parcel C, right, actually they're going to have Riviera right in front of them blocking that south view. So if, let's say, you manage to get a unit that has that unblocked view towards the south, right, that could really be a strong, unique selling point for your unit.
Yeah, I agree. So, which is why it is important actually to know which exact unit that is in demand in this area, as well as what kind of size and price range should you go for when looking at units here, in order for you to know how to exit. So let's have a look at the unit mix of this project. So it seems like we have all the way from 1 bedroom to 5 bedrooms, as well as 2 penthouses.
To me, it's very clear-cut from the way they structure the unit mix, right? This developer, they are very focused on the owner-owned stays rather than for investment. Why? Because there's gonna be 59% of 3 bedrooms and upwards. The 2 bedrooms and 1 bedrooms only account for over 40% only.
It's important actually to buy into something that has an own stay element to it, because when you buy into something that's mostly bulk of 1 and 2 bedrooms, right, generally there's a lot of investors, and with these investors entering into the project with you, right, normally there's a little bit more uncertainty and instability. Okay, so and especially nowadays also, because when you buy into a project, if it's own stay, generally people are willing to pay a little bit more because we only have one name to use because of ABSD. Next, let's study the site plan a little bit. Is there anything that we should be looking out for?
First things first, it's gonna be this project is gonna have full facilities, right? We're gonna have our tennis court, we're gonna have our gym. But the key thing, right, is the fact that we're gonna have a direct linkage to the Havelock MRT. In addition, there is gonna be 22 restaurants, one supermarket, and one early childhood redevelopment center. I think that's something that is going to be a very key selling point for this particular project.
Yeah, I think on that point, it brings extra convenience to the residents in the area as well. And of course, I do realize also that for the higher floor facilities, I don't find it very striking to me.
In terms of the facilities wise, because the land size is quite big, so it seems like they put in quite a bit of facilities on the ground floor, but they kind of just never put in that much effort on the higher floor facilities. Seems like they purposely spread it out so that all the 3 buildings or 4 buildings there do have some decent views.
For me, right, I feel that Block 3 itself, okay, with its strategic location, right, being deeper in, we are further away from the main road at Havelock Road. And if you manage to get a unit that's south-facing, if you clear level 27 and upwards, right, you're going to have a very, very nice view. Because you're going to clear Holiday Inn in front of you, they're going to clear the HDB that's beside you, that's up to 25 story.
So for block 5 and 3 facing the north side, right, there's a very good distance away from the other projects from the north side as well. So I think you do get possibly the river view also over there.
I think one unique thing to point out, right, will be the fact that, right, there's 98 units of 4 bedrooms here. And what makes Zyon Grand stand out versus, the competitors that's in the market so far in River Green and Promenade Peak, right? River Green, the 4 bedrooms are only 980 square feet. Very small. Very, very small. And Promenade Peak, right, the 4 bedrooms start from level 43 upwards. Whereas for this Zyon Grand, right, the 4 bedrooms are going to start from level 2 all the way upwards. So if let's say, there's a price gap that presents itself, you can enter to a 4 bedroom layout at a cheaper price, right? Of course, it's a lower floor. It could still be an opportunity for buyers that, are looking for something like this.
So because we are 62 stories high, I feel like for those that are on the high floor, right, you can probably see the sea when you're facing the south. Okay, maybe something important or something interesting to point out is that for those that are facing towards Promenade Peak, because you can see from this map that whatever the 4 stacks that are facing towards Promenade Peak, right, you can actually have a good gap because of the swimming pool in between. I believe that developers may price this slightly on the discounted side. So if you are looking for a value buy, if the developers do discount these few stacks, I think actually it's something that you can consider, because you get a pool view of Promenade Peak, but you don't also get the road noise, right? So if you're looking for a value buy, if they price the other south-facing side a bit higher, this can come up as a decent buy.
Oh yeah, actually one interesting thing I noticed also is they put all the bigger size unit facing south and all the smaller ones, slightly smaller ones facing north. So I think both sides have their pros and cons as well.
I mean, when you put it that way, it's obvious that they want the premium side to be on the southern side because of the view. So the next part, we'll be talking about the layout. The starting price actually just came out, and I think some of the units do look quite promising in terms of the price. So for the starting price, right, it's generally about 2006 per square foot to 2007 per square foot starting from price. But on the average price wise that we are using for the sake of this comparison will be somewhere closer to about $3,000 per square foot, right? So actually when we look at the first layout, which is the 1 bedroom, what do you all think?
For me, it's quite a standard 1+ study layout. I think most projects out there have this similar layout.
Yeah, I think one thing to take note that is it doesn't have a balcony, and the study doesn't have a window as well.
So the starting from price is about 1.3 mil, and we think that the average price will be somewhere closer to 1.47 mil. But at the same time, I think the 1 bedroom at this point of time is not so popular. So I think we can move on to the 2nd bedroom. So the 2 bedroom, 1 bath, right? Nowadays, they build it very compact size, 538 square foot, used to be a 1 bedroom size.
I think the dumbbell layout actually saves much on the corridor wastage space. And of course, I think this one also doesn't come with a balcony. So do take note for all the investors as well.
So I think the starting from price is very attractive here. 1.47 million for a 2-bed 1 bath. I think you can't really find that even in the rest of central region. So I think this 2-bed 1 bath at this kind of price point, I think likely will be a good buy. We are expecting average price point to be about 1.67 million. And this is actually very similar to River Green as well. And we see River Green actually selling very well for this unit type. Right. What about the 2-bed 2 bath?
Well, I feel the two-bed two-bath was something of a disappointment to me actually, because I think a lot of my buyers are actually expecting to see a tucked-in kitchen layout for the two-bed two-bath, but unfortunately what we have here is gonna be the kitchen along the corridor way lah.
Starting from price will be about 1.75 million. Average price point, we think it will be about 2 mil. So let's move on to the next one, which is the 2-bed 2-bath plus study.
So for this layout itself, I would say dumbbell layout as well for the two bedders. Their study is also a bit bigger at 5 square meters. And if you notice, it's not directly facing the kitchen side as well lah. And the kitchen is also L-shaped in a way that you can enclose it. You have the option to enclose it. So I do think that that's a plus point for whether it's investors or own stay, because when you're cooking, it's good to be able to enclose it lah. And I would say bedroom sizes are pretty standard, and in fact a good size of 9 square meters rather than anything below 9. I will find it a bit too small already.
So starting from price for the 2-bed plus study will be from about 1.94 million. I think average price point will hit somewhere around 2.2 million. So based on all the 2 bedrooms that we've seen so far, right, we feel that people should focus on the 2-bed 1-bath for the quantum play, or if they are able to afford a little bit more, right, go for the 2+ study because the layout is a bit better. Okay, next let's look at the 3 bedrooms. 3-bedroom layout, we have the compact size, the 818 square foot and the 861 square foot. We only have the starting price for the 818, which is at 2.2 million. But let's look at the layout. Which one do you all think is better?
I think one look straight off the bat, 861 square feet does look more promising lah, because you have your own enclosable kitchen with window, whereas the 88181, it's lined up against the wall, which is a bit hard to enclose it lah. Yes, it does feel like, yeah, it's a bit awkward.
So with the price difference, I think, let's say about for how many square foot is this? About 40 square foot. Let's say if it's about $3,000 per square foot, it will probably be about 120,000 difference. So for that kind of margin, right, I believe that probably the bigger 3-bedroom compact, which is the deluxe version, 861 square foot, would be probably the one that you should be looking at. Alright, but of course for those that have some budget constraint, 818 square foot is still something that you can consider.
Yeah, do take note, I think one more thing to add on is that for 818, there is no window in the common bathroom.
Yeah, so to be honest, I think 818 to me is not very good lah. Yeah, but the 861, I think it's definitely something that you all should be looking at. Okay, so the next one is the bigger 3 bedrooms, so it's a 3+ study. Over here we have 1055 square foot as well as 1076 square foot. Starting from price will be about 2.9 over million. I think it's quite attractive. Okay, average price point we think will be somewhere closer to 3.3. So what do you think about this layout?
For this layout, I do think that for people, because their study is strategically located by the living area, so for those people who actually like a landscape living area, this could be one of their consideration lah.
Okay, for the 3+ study, right, I think something that is unique about this 3+ study is that it's a dumbbell layout as well. You can see that there's 1 bedroom actually on the side. So, and not only that, you have your WC in the kitchen as well as a bomb shelter for your helper. So for the families, actually this layout I would say is better than whatever you can get at Promenade Peak for the smaller 3-bedroom. Okay, not only that, I feel that if you are looking for a 3-bedroom plus study here, I would suggest to look at the 1055 square foot, because to be honest, looking at the 2 layouts, right, I feel that there isn't too big of a difference. If you can save that little bit of money, right, actually you can go and look at the 1055 square foot. The only difference is the facing. For the 1076 square foot, right, it is a little bit further away from your Holiday Inn as well as the service apartment. So I think if you are someone that care more about views but you don't mind paying a premium, then you go for the 1076. But as an investor point of view, I think the 1055 would be a better entry price. Next, we look at the 4 bedrooms. 4 bedrooms, we actually have 3 different layouts. So the first 2 over here is the 4-bedroom premium as the 4-bedroom and the 4-bedroom supreme. All the 3 4-bedrooms actually come with the private lift. So over here, 4-bedroom premium actually starts from 3.9 over million, while the supreme starts from about 4.16 million. So how do you all find the layout?
I think other than the orientation difference, the 1421 square feet and the 1518 square feet, the main difference is actually in the master bath and the master bedroom. So the bigger one, 1518, they do have 2 sinks with a bathtub and a slightly bigger walk-in wardrobe as compared to the 1421 square feet one. So in terms of investors who are actually, or own stay people who actually don't mind having a proper, as long as they have a 4 proper bedroom, right? I think 1421 square feet could be the one to consider.
Yeah, not to mention, right, the fact that, you know, our living area is actually going to be slightly bigger. The dry kitchen area is going to be slightly bigger versus, you know, the 1518 square feet one. So I think for those that don't need such a, you know, a his and hers, a basin, a bathtub, things like that, right? This 1421 square feet one could actually be really a value deal.
This is the biggest 4-bedroom here, which is the 4 plus study. What do you all think compared to the other two?
This layout is actually very similar to the 1421 square feet, other than the fact that some parts, somewhat the master and the junior is slightly bigger. And of course, the study, they actually placed it right beside the junior master bedroom, which I feel that could be relatively redundant because this is also encroaching into the 5-bedroom size as well. So if you're going for a 4-bedder, I would still recommend going for the 1421 4-bedder layout.
Whoever that's looking out for a value deal, because for this biggest 4-bedroom type, you're probably going to pay about $1 million more just for a bigger living room. I think for a quantum play, especially for investors and for people that want to exit, I think the 4-bedroom that is 1421 square foot will have a better chance of making a bit more money. Lastly is the 5-bedroom, but let's look at the layout. What do you all think about this?
Efficient in that sense that they don't put all the 5 bedrooms at one side because this will invite a lot of corridor spaces. So they actually put 2 bedrooms on the left and 3 bedrooms on the right. So both are spread out quite equally. It's quite a rectangular layout. And they are and the balcony actually stretches to one of the bedroom as well, giving that 1 bedroom a bit more premium. Could be for your favorite child if you like.
Yeah, I think it's a nice touch, you know, the landscape vibes to it, you know, makes everything feels a lot more grand, you know, a proper kitchen size, proper dry kitchen, and utility space for your helpers to use.
So this 5-bedroom is going to be starting from about 6 million. Average price point, I think will hit around 6.3 million, which is, I feel quantum wise is actually quite high. So for whoever that is looking at this price range, right, some of them actually may consider landed house as well.
So for the 5-bedders itself, actually there's a very limited supply. Only PP, comparing to River Green and Promenade Peak, River Green biggest layout is actually 980 square feet. And for Promenade Peak, it's actually, they do have 5-bedder, but only 18 units, 18 premium units, starting from 44th floor to 62nd floor. So whereas for us, we do have 18 units as well. Yes, correct. Yeah. So we do add on to the lack of supply in the area. Yeah.
So because 5 bedrooms mostly they are built for own stay, so I think this type of units, right, likely will only move closer to TOP. So the next part we want to talk about, which is very important, pricing, right? So is Zyon Grand priced well? So first thing that we always look at is always the land cost and what's the break even to determine what's the kind of average price point that likely we'll be looking at. The buying price for your land cost is at 1202. I would say that this price point is actually not too bad. Their break even is also 2091. So it means that this developer actually seems to have bought in quite cheap. Why? Because if you look at this, Promenade Peak and River Green, their land cost is really crossed 1003. Okay, break even for those two projects are at closer to 2002 to 2003. So, do you guys think with Zyon Grand's land cost being a bit cheaper, right, will they launch lower price? Because based on what we know, they are launching closer to 2007 starting from. Where do you all think the average price point will be? Noting that Promenade Peak average price is close to 3,000, River Green is 3,001 already.
In my opinion, right, I feel like the average pricing will still be about 3,000 to 3,001 in that range. Basically because Zyon Grand itself, even though they did beat a lower cost, right, but they have other attributes to make up for it, and there's a bigger land, full facilities, with such attributes in mind, right, I feel like they do present themselves to be a pretty strong project versus Promenade Peak and River Green.
Yeah, I do agree with Austin on the point that bidding for cheaper land doesn't mean they'll sell cheaper. But I do feel that they will actually release some units at a lower price. Like the starting from is much lower. But eventually, I think average price would be around the same as Promenade Peak, closer to Promenade Peak, because this also indirectly translates to demand in the area. How much people are willing to buy for in the area.
Yep. So it seems like even though they are buying at a cheaper cost, unlikely that we will see them the average price point cheaper, because firstly they are a mixed development, secondly they are a bigger piece of land, okay, and then of course lastly, bidding cheaper doesn't mean that they will sell cheaper, am I right? Yeah. So I think the strategy moving into this project is to try to get something around mid to low mid floors, okay, so that you get the price gap advantage from your floor to the highest floor. That will be your arbitrage in terms of your exit, okay. The next one is to look at future prices. So we know that right now there are another piece of land in River Valley Green, parcel B, that has sold. Their purchase price is already crossed $1,400 per square foot per plot ratio, which means that their break even is close to 2004 already. Yeah, so in fact, not only that, there are actually 5 groups of people bidding for this. Yeah, so it means that actually this piece of this area actually still has quite a good demand. Yeah. So, but when you look at this price point, right, you know that in the future, when this piece of land launch, because they bought more than $100 per square foot higher, likely it will launch higher as well. Okay. Same thing as we look at Holland Link, it's already crossed $1,400 per square foot in terms of the land cost, as well as your Chuan Grove even. So you have 2 pieces of land at Chuan Grove that has already crossed 1,300, almost 1,004 per square foot as well. More expensive than your River Valley unit here. Yeah. So how can we exit this is by understanding that in the future, when Zyon Grove exit higher than whatever that we will buy in here at Zyon Grand, there will be that gap between your RCR or even OCR compared to whatever that we are buying in today. Right now, let's summarize whatever that we've been looking at, okay, by giving it some rating, and then to see whether is this project actually something that is worth considering.
For me, right, the location, I'll give it an 8 out of 10. Okay, I think it's a fantastic location, very convenient, good school nearby, amenities all around you, and directly linked to MRT, right? I think maybe the only small thing is that the roads might be a bit busy, so that could be something that deters some.
For the layout, I would also actually give it an 8 out of 10. Reason being because I think all the layouts are quite efficient, and you can actually see how much thought the developers put into coming out a variety of layouts catered to different family profiles. So other than the fact that the 2-bed 2-bath, it's a bit disappointing, but other than that, I feel that the general layout is still quite nice.
Pricing wise, I will give it a 7. Reason being, there are actually few launches currently that is priced slightly cheaper. So at this point of time, I feel that pricing wise is very close to Promenade Peak. So it's not gonna be too much of a difference. Exit potential wise, I will give it a 7 as well. If you are able to enter in at the right price with the right facing, I think there's only certain unit types that you should consider, which is some of the 2 bedrooms as well as the 4 bedrooms over here.
Okay, that's it for tea time with Redprop. Of course, there's only so much that we can cover in this short footage. If you are interested in Zyon Grand and you would like a one-to-one consultation, right, to really go in depth into the project and study which unit is actually the right one for you, do drop us a DM below. Thank you.
Thank you.